Welcome to Virtualize Everything. Tonight's video is going to be a little bit different. I do have a tutorial for you, and this tutorial is going to show you how to get a VM working. Well, not entirely, but we'll get to that. So, we have gotten a working VM to run on Proxmox, but I can only successfully get them to boot off the CD. So the first thing I want to talk about or inform you about is that we will need to configure all systems with a SCSI setup because both the SATA and IDE drivers from Proxmox appear not to be working. Also, I have found performance benefits with serial display drivers, but the default display drivers do work. We're also going to have to configure BIOS to UEFI and add an EFI disk. So the general workflow for getting a VM running is going to be create VM, give it a name, fill out your page. OS, just choose do not use Meteor at this point. Next, graphics driver can stay default. BIOS is going to have to change to UEFI. And you're going to have to select a drive. I've found that any formatting option works. I just traditionally use RAW. Machine can stay the default. Hard drive will need to be SCSI. I don't know how much memory you have on yours, but I'm just going to set up a 4 gig drive for now. CPUs, we can add what we need. I seem to be able to get the default KVM64 CPU type to work, but some of the other directions I've read have said to select host. Memory, I have a small Raspberry Pi, so I'm going to turn this down. Networking, and confirm. Now, we're going to create the VM. Alright, now we can go to finishing the configuration process to get it booting off the live CD. The first thing we're going to do is select the CD. If you notice, it sets up by default as IDE. Let's just remove it because it won't run. Then we're going to go add CD DVD, select SCSI, and select our image. We can press create. Now we need to go to the options and we need to select the boot order because we recreated the CD. Moving the CD to the top. I like to uncheck network. You don't need to do that. Now at this point, we should have a working VM that'll boot off of a live CD. We can go ahead and try this out now by pressing start and your console. There you have it. There is a working boot VM from a live CD. So let's go ahead and just close this out and stop this container at this point. If that's all you want to do, that's fine. There's your directions. But if you're like me and want to be able to install an operating system and use it, well, that's where we have had almost no luck. And I call upon you with my information that I have found to try to help me out in getting something that'll work. So here's the VM that I have actually been working with to try to get this process working. If you can see, we have an EFI disk. We're configured UEFI. Our drive is now demounted because I have installed something, but it is set as SCSI. Our boot order in here is set to CD and then the hard drive, but of course there is nothing in the CD. So let's boot this up and actually see what happens. Alright, so you can see that we're here at a GNU grub screen. Now, this means that we have not actually entered the operating system, and we're still having some boot problems. Now, I've worked through a large amount of the first stage boot problems, and I'm going to unfortunately not be able to show you the exact screens I got. But what happened is I entered another shell prompt that was for the UEFI. To fix that, I did a lot of reading, but I ended up coming across a little bit of information here that specifies that I need to set the display resolution in the UEFI screen. And some more information here that actually talks about setting up the UEFI partition for the boot order and specifying boot. So let's go ahead and actually work through this screen. With a slower Raspberry Pi that doesn't necessarily like to boot up or show the console as it boots up, it can be very difficult to enter into this configuration. What we need to do to start this process is press escape when we see the Proxmox boot screen. So here's the workaround that I was able to use to get into the screen. First, we open up this arrow here and we go to power and reset. Click OK. Then we click here and hit escape to send the escape signal. Just like that, we are into the configuration screen. Now, the first thing we need to do is use our down arrows to select Boot Maintenance Manager. Then we'll select Boot Options and Add Boot Option. Now here I have the only one that needs to be here. If your CD was still inserted, your CD would show up here as well. So now we can click on that and we can go in here to EFI and we can select Alpine and then we can select this image. Now if I do that at this moment, I will actually be triggered into it because I have already configured it. But if you continue through this process, you will be asked to set up a few more things here in this page. I will provide a link to this page in the description. So backing out, we then go to change boot order, and our newly named boot device, which you can see at the top of Alpine, needs to be there. It'll show up down here, and you're just going to use the plus key to move it to the top. See how it moves? That's all that's to that. Then you can commit changes and exit. Press escape to go back. With that set up, you'll be able to hit continue here, and you'll be presented with this grub screen. Now, after doing some more research, looking through bunches of pages and forums, I was able to find this post here on how to configure a boot from the grub GNU prompt. So I've tried this. I don't know if it's just because this was written for Ubuntu. I haven't been able to get a working Ubuntu image yet. Still working on that. But here at this screen, type in ls, and it's going to show us the hard drives, just like they're asking for. Now, I did some exploring after reading through here, and this is the file path they say we're looking for. Now, this is Alpine, not Ubuntu, so I expect it to be a little bit different. But if you type something that looks like ls hd 0,3 / you'll start to be able to navigate the file structure. So now I can go somewhere like add boot here and start to look through the file structure. again, going to like EFI, and I start to have files that don't appear. So I'm not exactly sure where to or how to proceed. I'm hoping one of my viewers might have experienced setting up a UEFI system before, and they might know how to work through it. So I'm calling upon you. If you know how, please help our community out and help me out. I'll make a video out of it. I'll even give you a shout out in the video. This is such a cool project that offers very cool opportunities for people to learn and experience home lab setups in a very affordable way. And if we can get some of these features working, it'll help this project grow and become more mainstream and help school kids and other people alike really benefit from the affordability that Raspberry Pis offer for learning true networking devices and being able to experience multiple different systems on their network in a very fun way. With that, I conclude tonight's video. Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing. As always, have a good night.